Alright, hey folks, this is Chris Lucas of the ProtestantView.com. I'm also known on YouTube as Liquid Smooth, and I also have another channel called The Protestant View. Anyway, I just wanted to try to do a quick video about, this is a follow-up to my video that I did about WND, WorldNet Daily, censoring my comments. And as you can see on here, basically what I did was I went onto their website last night, which was July 5th, and I went to look at some comments I wrote. And, okay, so 3 days ago, what's today, July 6th, so July 3rd, or July 2nd, it might have been like July 2nd, I posted some comments. And as you can see on the screen, these are some people's comments who replied back to me. So obviously my comment was visible because you can see my name, theprotestantview.com. That's the name I use on WND. And this is the title of the article up here on WND. Worship of Baal didn't end in Old Testament. So if anyone wants to go check out this. But basically what I do is I left some comments, and I pointed some peculiar things out with our government and the Catholic Church. And it's all true, people who've watched my videos or who've read any of the books in my library on my website, books written in the 1800s, which no one at that time period disputed. There was no public disputes because it was so fresh in everyone's mind. Everyone knew what happened. Everyone knew about John Surratt hiding in the Vatican. Everyone knew that John Surratt was working as Lincoln's bodyguard. So they knew John Surratt and the other 10 Catholics were all behind the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, and that even the Vatican was in on it. Because why was the Vatican hiding John Surratt if the Vatican wasn't in on it? And the Vatican was always pro-South the whole time during the Civil War. It was pro-South, and I've shown this several times. I've proven this several times, and like I said, folks, you saw my comment in my last video. I even showed you the comments to this page. And now all my comments are gone. Did you think they were that untrue? Do you think they were worthy of being deleted? But now they're deleted. And I got all these people making bogus comments. And you can see down here again, this is the Protestant View. Let's see if I highlight, if that makes it any easier. But see, this person's replying back to me. I wrote about, hey, you can find out everything I say is true in the book 50 Years in the Church of Rome, and stuff like that, something to that effect is what I said. And they said, I've seen 50 years, I've seen and read 50 years but it's no more reliable than Hislop is. Now Alexander Hislop wrote about the two Babylons. See, these are really disinfo agents, because if you've read this stuff, Hislop had tons of proof, and I don't see how you can dispute it. But the only people that dispute it are people that look like common people. But I think they're actually paid agents that go onto these boards and do this stuff. And maybe a few of them could actually be very brainwashed people. But I rarely talk to any like lay Catholic person, and they tell me they read this and that they know for sure that it's a bunch of garbage. Because most of the lay Catholic people don't tell me this stuff. And a lot of times if they read it, they quit being Catholic. Because the books are that powerful. And that true. But as you can see on this previous video I made on YouTube, see if I can widen the screenshot, maybe you can read it better. But here you can see I actually had comments. I said the Vatican was responsible for Lincoln's assassination. This used to be something all Americans knew. Why is this suppressed now? And there goes WND suppressing me. And it's like, why is it suppressed? And then this person says it isn't the Catholics that taken over government, it's the Gunda-founded cult Islam. I just watched a video today showing that Professor Gil White made, showing how like the Muslims and the Nazis were working together. And you know, the Nazis were backed by the Catholic Church. And because you know the Vatican signed 4 concordats with the Nazis. You know, and here's my original reply: 50 Years in the Church of Rome is one book that details the conspiracy. It was written by a Catholic priest named Chinnicky in the late 1800s. W&D likes to censor me now, or I would spend more time going into various details. See, because when I posted this comment, a lot of my comments were pending, but this one they actually approved of. Right? It was a pending comment. I think I even showed that in this video I made, my first video about WND censoring me. And I showed you that it was pending, but you could click a button and see what I wrote. So I clicked the button and I showed you guys what I wrote. Well, I go on it like a couple hours later, and they approved it. So then that's why these other people were able to read my video. Read my comment. So they were able to read my comments and reply back. Because as you can see, that's why he said that this is where my comment about the 50 years in the Church of Rome. And so these people were replying back, so they did approve my comment. But why are they now deleting all my comments? They're now deleting all my comments. Even. And people might go, well, you did say they like to censor you, and it's like, but they approved it, because this is how this person read it. So it's like, there's something really, really odd going on here, that they would now just start deleting all my comments. I honestly think I'm getting a lot of truth out, and I think that's why they're deleting it, and I just want to show people this. Because now you know what I actually wrote, you saw it in my last video, and now you see that they're deleting it. Even stuff they already approved of, they're deleting all my comments off their site. Now, like I said, I used to actually promote, how to link to WND on my site. And the reason why I had it was, I thought it was a better news source than Fox. And I just... and sometimes I do and I feel like if I use their articles to talk about various things, then I need to at least, put a link of them on my site, because sometimes they do have some information that's credible. And so I put that on my site, and I never saw them ever delete my comments. They're one of the few websites that used to let me just talk what I want to talk without deleting my comments. Alex Jones will delete more of my comments and more of other people's comments like this than WND, than I ever saw WND do. So I thought WND was maybe a legit source, but they were very asleep or very, just brainwashed, but they were doing this more out of naivety, with their articles. Though, I always have a suspicion when someone's like a big internet agency, a big internet news source or whatever. I always have my suspicions. But, now it's like, here they are, deleting my comments, and that's all I want to really show you folks, is that there should not be anything offensive with what I wrote. There's nothing offensive. It's all true. Truth and facts should not be offensive. You should be able to post facts and truth freely. And why are facts and truth censored on WND? Because they're not about the truth. This is just proof that WND is not about the truth. Because there's not one single... Those people's comments cannot be backed up by truth. There's no comments whatsoever that they can use that can be backed up. All the things they say, they cannot find a source to back up what they say. I have sources from the 1800s that you don't... I'm still waiting to see the books back in the 1800s that were speaking against all the things I'm saying now. See, it's only years later, when people have kind of been brainwashed, when people have been de-educated, when people forgot. And now you can tell these lies after it's been a while, and you can get some of these people to believe these lies. But like if we watch an explosion in the air and 100 people witness it, it's pretty hard for one person to be like, oh, it didn't happen. They'd be saying that's a crazy person. But 10 years, you wait about 20 years, and some of those people that saw that explosion are dead now. Some of those articles no one can find that were writing about that explosion, and you got a group of people saying that explosion never happened. People start to believe it didn't happen, and that's sort of what they're doing now. It's not like, but there's no sources from that day that denied it happened. It's all years later. I mean, I at least never saw it, and I keep asking people. I've been doing these videos for like how many years? Since 2007, 2006, talking about this stuff. And why hasn't someone showed me a book or anything from that time period that was like, oh, this didn't happen? And then we could examine that book and see how credible that author is, and all these other things. And maybe I'm proven wrong, and I'll accept it. But see, the thing is, someone who was being honest would have already did that. They would have already done it. I shouldn't have to ask for this. I mean, an honest person should be like, yeah, this guy does have all these books. These books do this. But here, check out this. But they don't do it. That's because they are liars. So why do these liars... See, these liars get to talk. These liars get to have their comments posted. And WND is protecting the liars. You protect liars, and you censor truthers. That's all I got to say.